future, if this happens, feel free to call me, and maybe I can save you an ER visit. I'm going to arrange for you to come back to see me in the office in 6 months. If something changes, or your discomfort gets worse, you start getting with exertion, call me and we can do FaceTime again. I think this is a very safe option, with social distancing, but I think the Motrin's really going to help, and I don't want you to worry. I think your blood vessels are fine.
Okay. All right, sounds great. I appreciate your time.
All right, buddy. Hey, stay safe.
Hey, you too. Take care, man.
Right.
Yeah,
Bye.
We'll see you. Bye. I was praying that I could come back to my home. I was actually thinking, as I was brushing my teeth and kind of prepping myself, I was thinking, I may not come back home. So this week we had an unexpected visit to the ER. I woke up with a lot of chest pain. We ended up at the ER about 3:30. This all started somewhere in the evening at about 10:30. I started feeling pressure in my chest, and I was having a problem catching my breath as we were out on an evening walk after dinner. And as I've said many times before, I have a tendency to self-diagnose and ignore symptoms. And so we've been exercising regularly, taking bike rides, during this time that we have been kind of confined to our homes. We've really stayed very active. And when I woke up, my first thought was, I don't want to go to the hospital because I know there are patients there with the COVID-19 virus, and the thought of going in there just really bothered me. Did it like cross your mind as we were preparing?
It bothered me. You had been having symptoms previously before that evening, and you wouldn't even go to the doctor to get some of your stuff checked out from taking a spill on the longboard, because we were afraid to be in a waiting room with other people.
Yeah, and so I had this ongoing, and this is where we're headed with this. I had this ongoing issue with my ribs because as I mentioned on a video in the past, about a month ago, right after the tornadoes here in Nashville, I had an accident on my skateboard at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. It was a really hard fall. I kind of equated it to being in a car accident. If you've ever been in a car accident and you really get jumbled around, that's what it felt like. I had my wrist, my foot, lots of scrapes, bruises, cuts. My doctor remotely diagnosed it as probably fractured ribs because of the severity of the pain, uneasiness, and unable to breathe. And so as I'm kind of getting over that, I still have some pain in my ribs, but then this other thing started, and it seemed to be in the center of my chest. And so we ended up in the ER. In this video, what we wanted to show you was just a remote visit with my cardiologist. I have a great relationship with him, as you'll see from the video. He's actually a few years younger than me, and we always have conversations about running or vacation, or just fill in the blank. And so, but he also does such a great job of listening and just going down the list of my symptoms, and then kind of getting my head back in a good place, and kind of helping me get rid of that fear that I'm having a heart attack. He diagnoses it on FaceTime with me. He really sets my mind at ease and gives me that assurance that I'm going to be okay. He also stresses the importance of getting to the ER if I'm having chest pains because of my history with heart disease and bypass surgery. And so that's his number one goal, is to make sure that I wasn't having a heart attack. On his lunch break.
Yeah, unfortunately with social distancing, I haven't been able to get a haircut in quite a while.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, yeah, I might have to have my wife do it if things don't improve in the near future. But right now, in the midst of, the community was hit by the tornado and now coronavirus, I don't know if I can really complain about my hair. Yeah,
Isn't that the truth, man? I'm glad to hear that. It's good to hear gratitude.
Yeah, this has been a terrible time.
I told my wife, I said, if we are not grateful, we're idiots, So.
Yeah, I had a patient that died in the tornado, and I had several patients that lost their homes.
Wow.
And then the minute you start the recovery, then this pandemic, starts. And so it's just been a really, really brutal time. So since I saw you last, tell me what's been going on.
Well, things have been going great. I mean, my wife, as I told you before, does an amazing job. We've been on plant-based diet, but I have really buckled down. Since the wintertime, since December, I've lost 20 pounds just dropping sugar and alcohol. I haven't had alcohol in 5 months. I told you I like to have a little tequila, and I always wanted to make sure I wasn't overdoing it, but I completely cut alcohol and sugar out of my diet. And I'm thinking I'm doing amazing, but I wake up. It started about, as you can see on the notes there, but I start feeling this pressure and this pain in my chest. And I don't know if they put it in the notes, but I had a skateboarding accident it was the week of the tornado. I was going down a really steep hill on the Greenway and I couldn't get off. It was just going too fast. And I lost control.
So when you fell off your skateboard in early March, did you hit your ribs?
My ribs, I hit everything that could be hit. I was doing about 20 miles an hour.
So the good news is the chest x-ray in the ER yesterday was completely normal. It obviously didn't show a pneumonia.
What I did when I came home, and I don't know why it didn't hit me, but because everything was in the center of my chest, when I woke up at 3:30, I thought I was having a heart attack because I couldn't get a deep breath and the pain was getting kind of severe. As I started doing some research yesterday, as all armchair doctors do, I realized that one of the causes for pleurisy can be a rib injury.
Before we call it pleurisy, I wanted to ask you some questions. So I understand you can have some soreness in your ribs after falling. I understand that you can get the sensation at times where it feels like it's hard to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That doesn't really concern me. You're right, that could be pleurisy. But tell me a little bit more about your chest pains.
This pain is right here, and the other night it seemed to be in the middle. But last night was the worst night. I woke up this morning multiple times. Any deep breath I would equate it to like somebody sticking me in the chest with a butter knife.
So if you take a deep breath, it hurts, and if you cough, does it hurt?
Yeah. And when I go up my stairs to come upstairs and my heart rate goes up, I can feel surges of pain as my heart rate picks up. You know what I mean?
Is the pain when you breathe, or is the pain when you walk?
It's when I breathe.
So, Joe, obviously, because you've had bypass surgery and you have ischemic heart disease or atherosclerosis or coronary artery disease, when you say you have chest pain, people are going to take it seriously, including the ER. But what you're describing to me doesn't really sound like a blood vessel issue. You're right, it sounds like an inflammation issue. I don't know if it's inflammation of your chest wall. I don't think right now we need to worry about your heart. What probably we should do is just put you on an anti-inflammatory for like a week, wipe out the inflammation, wipe out the pain, and see if you feel better.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of concern right now about the impact of, ibuprofen and Motrin with COVID-19. And so if you had COVID-19, I might not recommend it, but you're not having any infectious symptoms, no fever, chills, or sweats. Is that correct?
Right.
You don't have any short symptoms, right?
No, I don't have any kind of flu-like symptoms.
Okay. So then I think I would just take Motrin, maybe 800 milligrams twice a day for a week.
All right.
In a few weeks, if you finish the course of Motrin and you're getting chest pain with activity, you get chest pain when you walk, you get chest pain when you carry groceries, you get chest pain with intercourse, then yes, absolutely, we'd want to repeat a stress test, we'd want to look for a new blockage. But right now, everything that you're describing sounds like an inflammatory process. I don't know if you developed, bruising and inflammation from the fall. I don't know if you developed pleurisy from some other cause, like some kind of viral infection. I don't know, but this is definitely not a blood whole issue.
I know that you got to hear some of the remote doctor's visit, and any thoughts?
I just think it's important that you don't ignore symptoms. And this time he didn't ignore them, whereas previously he had gone quite a few weeks, almost months of having pain and not wanting to go to the doctor. So I think this experience of having bypass surgery and going through a change in our lifestyle, he's been better about paying more or better attention to the symptoms that he has and then acting on it. So it's important not to ignore your symptoms.
We went to the ER. They wouldn't let Shayna into the ER, would they?
No, and that was a little disturbing. I mean, I knew I probably couldn't go in there when I took you up to the door. But
Yeah,
then,
they had a sign on the door.
yeah,
that said-
but then I went and sat in my car, and that was not fun because you don't know what's going on. And I was waiting on him to call me to tell me what was going on, and an hour had passed and I hadn't heard anything. So, just a little uneasy feeling about that and what we've gone through in the past. It's a little unnerving.
Yeah, and during this time, knowing that you're in a hospital and the doctor who was on call for the ER and the triage unit, they were some of the folks who took care of me. They were fantastic, and they were so good at putting me at ease. They gave me a mask right away, and it promptly broke. So they got me another one right away and made sure that I wasn't touching anything. I walked in, they took me right back. It was not a crowded hospital. I was really surprised at how few people, I guess because of the lack of visitors.
Right, very eerie when we drove up, because we've been to this particular emergency room a couple times, and it's always hustling and bustling, and there was no one. So it was like, it just gave you a weird feeling.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of experience. But so, the purpose of us sharing this information today, I know that if any of you are still watching this video at this point, you probably have had symptoms. Maybe you've had bypass surgery like I have. Maybe you've just had the stents like I had. Or maybe you know someone who has some of my symptoms and maybe heart disease like I do. And the thing that we want to stress is that do not ignore your symptoms. And that's one thing you'll hear on that video is what my cardiologist said, that that is very important that I get in there.
We had a conversation earlier about how, we've been doing really well with our diet and exercise, very consistent, and you're doing all the right things, and then all of a sudden you have symptoms. It, at the moment, is a little discouraging, but at the same time, what we are doing and working so hard for does make a difference in the long run, even though things pop up. Just because you have bypass surgery doesn't mean that you're free of heart disease. And so you had stents before that, then you had the bypass surgery, so we're not free and clear. Joe still has heart disease, and so that's why it's important for us to keep pressing on with our diet and our exercise and how we live our lives.
One of my first thoughts in all of those thoughts that were going through my head was, I was thinking, oh my gosh, all I do is eat vegetables and fruits and we exercise, and and I'm thinking, why am I going through this? This just seems so stupid. And it was really frustrating for me to be going through that experience. And I know some of you out there, and you can leave a comment if this is you, but you feel like you're doing everything right, and then something goes wrong. And I think that's just like life. You could be doing all the most wonderful things in life, and yet someone treats you poorly, or your car breaks down and maybe you don't have enough money for it, or something in life happens, and it's just frustrating because you feel like you've been living a pretty good life. And as in regards to my health, that was where I was, and I kind of just had to get rid of those thoughts.
You think to yourself, I've had bypass surgery, I have blockages, I'm getting chest pain, and then anxiety kind of kicks in. But what I'd like to do is take the opportunity to kind of reassure you that this is absolutely not a blood vessel issue. It's an inflammatory issue, and hopefully Motrin, 800 milligrams twice a day for a week will kind of take it away. Now, we always worry about taking so much Motrin that it upsets the stomach or the kidneys. I think it's safe to take it for 1 week. I don't think you're going to have any problems with that.
Okay. Sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still walking and exercising a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday was the first day I took off. We've been riding. We ride about 15 miles on our bike, and then as many days as we can. We've tried to make sure it's not too busy on the Greenway. And then, of course, we have a treadmill and a spin bike in our garage. So I run on the treadmill. I walk run because of the accident.
More equipment than a gym at this point. I mean, you have everything. You got your own personal gym. So I would continue to exercise, and I just want to confirm, when you exercise, you don't develop chest discomfort. Is that correct?
No left arm pain like I had before my surgery.
Fantastic.
And it doesn't bother me. This has come from, like I said, but it was when it hit me at nighttime, and the pain was severe, and I thought something has become inflamed or something. But that was the first time since my heart surgery that I was a little concerned. We hope that you all will enjoy the visit that we're sharing via FaceTime with my cardiologist. So if you are having any kind of chest pain, any kind of pressure in your chest, left arm pain, anything remotely, burning, anything close to that, you should call 911, call your cardiologist. We hope that you enjoyed this little visit. We hope you enjoyed just us sharing our experience this week. It was on top of everything else we're all going through. It was a rough week. Lost a lot of sleep, and just had a lot of pain, and so that pain is pretty much completely subsided. Right now I'm taking a high dosage of Motrin, and it has done a great job of relieving me of a lot of that pain. So it sounds like my cardiologist was right on the money again. And so be proactive in your health. Be proactive with the way with your eating, with your diet, your exercise. Be proactive when you have pain. We hope that you all are staying healthy during this weird, strange time we're in. We want you to subscribe, like, click the bell for notifications, and as we say before, there's a link below where you can get all of Shayna's delicious recipes, and we continue to add those recipes to our website. We hope you enjoy our visit to our cardiologist, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.
I'm gonna tell my cardiologist what I think is wrong with me. Joe, what do you need me for?
Well, he didn't really seem that amused that I was self-diagnosed.
No, he wasn't. He's like, leave it to me. I'm the doctor.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're a teacher and the parent comes in when the parent comes in and
tells you,
tries to tell you how to be a teacher. Have you tried this strategy before? I had a parent ask me that one time. Have you tried this strategy for my daughter?
That in all my years of teaching or practice.
Yeah. We're professional educators, but they question. Have you noticed also that now with the internet that people have a tendency to question, are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I used to be offended when they did it to me, and yet now you have people with the advent of all of the knowledge on...
Well, you have access to knowledge. That doesn't mean you know.
It doesn't mean you know how to comprehend that knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
And put it into practice, yes.
Yep.
I can read about open heart surgery, but can I do it? Am I qualified to do it?
You could sure try. It'd be a mess. It'd be a big old mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. I think we're done here. There's nothing else to see. They were...
Could you not have held that in?
I couldn't hold it in.